Hi, I'm Evan Rico, and I'm a sophomore at St. Thomas. My Unit 1 project is focused on conservation mismatch. My research question is, what areas of the United States need high priority conservation, and what areas aren't being used efficiently? So basically, what can we do to maximize conservation efforts in a smart and economically stable way? So my first article that I read was 6 Common Mistakes in Conservation Priority Settings by Edward T. Game, Peter Kariva, and Hugh P. Fossingham. So it listed the 6 mistakes, and they're pretty straightforward, but the main ideas that I got out of this article was that you need to value facts over feelings, and you need to be clear and precise, because when you're not clear and precise, people get confused and things get screwed up. So to avoid that, you gotta be clear and precise. So the second article that I read was Species Distribution, Land Values, and Efficient Conservation by Amy Ando, Jeffrey Kam, Stephen Pulaski, Andrew Zolo. So basically, what I got from this article is that each species is different. So general conservation tactics don't work for the broad species. So we need to be pretty precise, like the first article was saying. We need to be clear and precise. And honestly, to be efficient in species conservation, you have to understand both ecological and economic factors, and that both plays a huge role in how to conserve correctly. The third article that I read was called Field Evidence That Ecosystem Service Projects Support Biodiversity and Diversify Options by Rebecca L. Goldman, Heather Talius, Peter Kariva, and Gretchen C. Daly. So the main idea was that ecosystem projects were more successful than biodiversity projects. They both did good and were successful, but ecosystem projects got a broader range of funding and create more opportunities for people and the landscapes. And both these projects in the U.S. and outside the U.S., they relied heavily on land purchasing and easements to make them more successful. And ecosystem projects generally got more money than the biodiversity project. They're just more successful at securing corporate funds. So to tackle my research question, I had to look at all different types of species, such as mammals, amphibians, trees, and reptiles. So the first map I used was the amphibian hotspot map. You can see this in the southeast of the United States is the heavily populated with, and they have the most diversity. West Coast has a small amount, but I mean compared to the southeast, it's nothing. Same with the birds, and this map was more spread out, but most of the diversity was in the southeast once again. But it was less concentrated just in the southeast. It was spread more in Midwest, going east, and in places such as like Colorado and Idaho and Nevada, in that area, and of course a little bit on California. The next map that I used was the mammal hotspots, and that covered basically all of America. But the highest areas of conservation was in the southeast and the west. So the west coast, kind of all the way to Nebraska. That area was heavy with diversity. I used was the trees conservation hotspots, and you can see once again that the southeast is the main area, with of course some on California and Oregon, but mainly just in the southeast. Hi, I'm Evan Rico, and I'm a sophomore at St. Thomas. My Unit 1 project is focused on conservation mismatch. This map right here to show where currently we have these protected lands, whether they be federal lands or any other lands, but I use this map to show what areas are protected. So what I did with this map is I laid it on top, essentially making a new map. With this map, we can determine that only some areas within the southeast are protected. Most land that is protected is just federal land in the west. This map shows we have land being consumed in the wrong area, and we should focus more on the places that need it, such as the southeast where they have such high areas of biodiversity. I mean, California in the west, they have all that federal protected land, but we need to focus conservation elsewhere. So going back to my research question, we need to focus conservation efforts in the southeast, like I said, and not just with the federal lands in the west. Even though the federal lands are a good thing to have, they support biodiversity in that area, but it's cheap land, and we could be focusing conservation efforts elsewhere. And we just need to be smart with ecological and economic factors, because a lot of these places are metropolitan, like Atlanta, for example, which is right in the hot spot. Doesn't have as many protections as places such as California. And here's my bibliography with my sources that I used, the 3 articles, the data of the public and protected lands, and the priority areas for USA biodiversity conservation.